Welcome to The Real Dope, a podcast for anyone walking alongside someone battling addiction, based on the powerful book, The Real Dope on Dealing with an Addict, by sisters Elizabeth Brand and Meridith Elliott Powell. Each episode will explore practical strategies, share authentic stories, and provide the honest guidance. Let's begin today's journey and turn survival into strength.
Hey, this is Meridith Elliott Powell. You know what time it is. It is 11 a.m. Eastern Thursday morning. It's one of my favorite times of the week. It's time for The Real Dope. How did you get here? The show dedicated to you, the person who loves with, lives with, supports, and has to deal with the challenges of loving an addict. Probably one of the most difficult things you'll ever go through in your life. Hanging out here with my sister, Beth Brand.
Hey.
Now, always remember, we are not therapists. We are not healthcare professionals. We are just people exactly like you who have gone through the challenges of what it means to really love an addict. Now, Beth, I want to start the show here in a minute formally, but what's on tap for today?
Today we're going to talk about believing in yourself because, as you know, and I know all too well, navigating life with someone who's suffering with addiction can be difficult, and you kind of lose yourself in that. So if to help yourself recover, which helps everyone in your life recover, you need to refine that person you are.
So, Beth, today we're going to talk about believing yourself. I was thinking about this topic when you had texted it to me, and it's really kind of a funny concept because I think if you'd talked to me in the throes of addiction and asked me if I believed in myself, I think I would have told you that I did. But the truth is, I think that I had lost my confidence in my own decisions. What do you think about that?
I do think it's interesting because I was thinking about that too, how you're like so strong, like I can get through this. I'm managing this addiction. I'm managing this person. I'm keeping our life together. It feels really strong. But if I asked you like what kind of ice cream you would like, you would have been lost. You would have been like, I don't even remember what kind of ice cream I like. I don't even remember. Like you just start to doubt yourself because everyone's telling you things are all right, especially the person suffering with addiction is telling you, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know, you have it all wrong, da, 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 da. And so you start to forget which way's up and which way's down.
Yeah, and I feel like one of the biggest things that I think about, like I look at my life now and I think about how much I gave up that I loved, that I convinced myself those things were not important anymore. Like anybody who knows me knows that the last place I would ever go is a bar. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Yet every single day I would meet Doug at the bar at 5 o'clock. Every Friday and Saturday night, we went to the bar. I gave up golf. I gave up riding my bike. I gave up all the things that I love and somehow convinced myself those things didn't matter.
And you do it all just to keep the lid on everything.
Yeah.
Just to keep the status quo. In fact, your whole day is planned around the status quo.
Yeah.
You don't even know anymore what you would do. If somebody asked you what you would like to do, you won't even know because it's been so long since you've done it. It's just trying to keep the lid on everything. I mean, I think about planning my first wedding, planning my second wedding, planning to any event. If you were planning a vacation with your first husband, your mind was not thinking about, oh, we go swimming, then we'll play golf, and then we'll do this. You're thinking, is he going to be okay in this situation? How do I manage if we go out to eat or if we meet friends? How do I keep the lid on it? I mean, that's where your thought is. So, yeah, you lose yourself.
I think about this like we were on Doug and I, my first husband, my addict husband, we're on vacation in Bar Harbor, Maine. We were at Acadia National Park, and I had gone. Now, Acadia National Park is amazing. It's everything Mayor loves. It's mountain biking, it's hiking, it's canoeing. It is just a complete outdoor type of vacation. And I went to go for a walk, and before I did, I took every single mini bottle out of the fridge. That's
That's a great example.
that was that was my goal. I didn't want to be gone for a 30-minute walk and leave him in the hotel room by himself. And that seemed very, very like normal to me. I mean, I
Mhm.
think the importance of losing belief in yourself is looking at that now. I would tell you that's insane. That's crazy.
Mhm.
Why would you, why would you be in that situation? But that seems so typical and so normal to me in that situation.
Yeah, like, why are you there and why are you doing that?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's hard. So like you definitely lose yourself. And I compare it a lot to, and I'm not saying my husband was abusive, but the addiction is abusive. The addiction beats on you like an abusive partner in a relationship. I can remember after I left Edward for the fourth and final time, just trying to pick out a blouse in my closet to wear. And I was so unsure of myself.
Yeah.
I mean, that seems so dumb, but it was like it's almost like I needed to ask other people all the time if I was making the right choice, if I was making the right decision.
So where do you think that starts from?
I think you get beaten down. I think you get beaten down by the addiction. I think the addiction makes you question every move you make. Well, I married this man. He's great. Or this is my son. When he was 10, he was great. Or this is my father. I've always been able to depend on him. And that gets flipped around where the addiction makes what you thought you knew and what you believe. Like, I took a vow to stay with my husband. This is my dad, I can't abandon him.
Mhm.
This is my child, I have to be there. This is my brother, I owe him something. It turns around everything you thought you knew
Yeah.
about how relationships work and who you thought this person was. And that,
Yeah.
and I want to stress, they are still that person. The addiction has taken over what they've done. They're not
Yeah.
there anymore.
And I would also argue, though, too, that even if you started out believing in yourself, society is telling you you're wrong. Like,
Mhm,
even I remember the therapist telling me not to go down with the ship. Like,
mhm,
we spent so many sessions talking about the fact that if I sacrificed everything to help Doug and he didn't get better, like, were my actions helping him get better? And the truth was, there hadn't been, he was getting worse. Like,
mhm.
my actions were not only helping him get better, I can't say that my actions were making him worse. He could have done that all on his own. But it took her so long to undo what society had told me. And what society had told me was sacrificing what my life was the right and honorable thing to do.
Our mother never understood that.
Yeah.
She never. Like Teddy would run up a bill and she had to pay it because it was embarrassing not to.
Hmm.
Instead of just letting that messy stuff go is really hard. And I would argue that we supported the addictions in our life, that we enabled them by paying for them. I mean, I think the people we loved who suffered from addiction would have gotten there a lot faster to that bottom place wherever they were going. They would have felt that pain a lot faster if we hadn't supported it. I mean, Teddy never felt the pain of his actions.
Never, never, ever. Always thought it was somebody else's fault.
Mhm.
So I think our saving grace was going out and taking hikes.
Yes.
And I think that because it was quiet time in
Here's
our head.
everything.
Yeah. Here's it was quiet time in our head, right? Where you could sort of get away from all the noise and all the clutter and start to begin to think, okay, and listen to the voice that wasn't in your head, the one that was in your gut, your intuition. And when you believe in yourself, you have a very close alignment with your intuition. And when
Mhm.
you get involved with an addict, that bond, that's what the addict, and that is what society is working on, is withering down that intuition.
Mhm.
So I think the very first step is for somebody in this situation is to find a quiet space to tap back in to your intuition and not judge it. Because you may be afraid of what your intuition tells you because it's the antithesis of what everybody else is telling you.
Yeah. So in the book, one thing we talk about is we talk about first, like, forgiving yourself for where you are. Because I don't know about you, but I felt like a big loser.
Oh my God, huge loser.
Like, I did everything wrong. I wore my wedding ring forever because I was so embarrassed that I got in a divorce. I mean, I was just so embarrassed about it. And that my child didn't have a father and, all this stuff. But so the first step that we talk about is like really forgiving yourself so you can get into that quiet place of non-judgment. And you're absolutely right. I mean, beating yourself up never helped anybody.
Right.
So what you do is you get curious about why you're there. You stop the judgment. That's ridiculous. I mean, it's just not helpful. And you go into that curious, how did I get here? Which is our
Yeah.
podcast. How did I get here? That's like the question you're asking. But ask your that self not in judgment, but in really, what
Yeah.
am I getting out of this?
Yeah.
Why did I do this? Why am I choosing this?
Yeah. And I think another important question is like if there was no judgment out there, if there were no rules, what do you want?
Oh, but see, there's where like you've lost yourself, and that's where that takes that quiet contemplation and maybe a lot of therapy. Because my guess is, however far into this you are, you don't know what you want anymore.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, and also, no, like you know, like always they say, it's a journey. It is that like you might want like at one point I wanted nothing more than for Edward to get better and for us to stay married and raise our child happily. And then I graduated to I wanted nothing more than for him to get better and move next door to me and be my best friend. I couldn't really trust him anymore, and so I didn't want to marry him anymore. But I loved him and I wanted him to be my best friend. And then like it develops, it's always going to be changing. But the difference was, you know, I'd have enough therapy and enough hiking at that point to be back in touch with who I was. But it took a while. It took a long time. It took years.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's so important to just go through the exercise of asking what you want and again not judging it, because what I wanted was Doug to be sober. That's what I wanted more than anything. I wanted Doug to be sober. Now the truth was, after going through that exercise a lot, I had to ask myself, can I have what I want? And because you can only have what you can control. And so from needing Doug to be sober, I graduated um, to this idea that what I wanted was peace. I wanted to not be ashamed of my life. I wanted to not be embarrassed of who I was. Now, I had no idea how to get there, but I could begin to think that way. I think the point that I want to get across with this particular episode is the fact that there doesn't have to be action. And it's the very process of believing in yourself really starts with this single step of just going, okay, once a week, I'm going to 5 minutes of quiet time. And I'm just going to ask myself, what do I want? What do I need? What do I think is important? What matters to me? And if something comes up, great. If it doesn't, don't worry about it. Keep doing it. That progress will get you where you need to go.
And I think what you find is at first you're really listening to the addiction.
Yeah.
Like the addiction is the big voice. I mean, when you think about it, how do you feel when you wake up in the morning? What is driving your thought? And what's driving your thought when you fall asleep at night?
Right.
Likely, if you're in the throes of this, it's the addiction is telling you like, oh, I got to get those mini bottles out of the fridge before I leave on my hike. You know, that addiction. When you're in that quiet time, what you're listening for, or what I was listening for, is yourself. Like there's your voice. Like Meredith's voice in that might have said, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm in Acadia. I can't wait. You know, should I do the 5-mile trail or the 7-mile trail? I don't know. But that's not even your head. Your head is take the bottles out of the thing. You know, my voice standing in front of the closet is going, I don't know which blouse, you know, which blouse would be okay, which blouse won't offend anyone, which blouse, da da da. Instead of like, oh, I really like green.
Yeah.
You're listening for your voice again. And it's buried. I mean, this sounds kind of silly, but it's really been buried. The addiction has taken over your head.
Yeah.
It's telling you what to do.
Yeah, it's everything. I remember that I got an awards trip. I had won I'd finished top 5 in my company and gotten this beautiful awards trip. And they wanted us to bring our significant others. Why I did that, I do not know. I should have gone alone, but I did.
Because society was talking to you. Of course you take your husband.
Right. And so the whole time planning, I was thinking, how could I keep people away from Doug? Because he was so bloated and so alcoholic at that point. It was so bad. But my whole trip was, how could I keep people isolated from him? So I chose activities. I chose things where people wouldn't see him.
Yeah. Instead of, oh my gosh, I won this trip. How much fun. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to meet this person. I'm going to network for my business. You're like, no, I hope nobody knows who I am.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And so, I was so steeped in embarrassment. The other thing I think that you need to take from believing in yourself is once you're doing that, is you need to go find some level of support system. You know,
Absolutely.
yeah, like Beth said, we would hike together every single week, and that was like our support system. So it could be Al Anon, it could be a friend, but you have to find at least one individual who supports your journey, who won't judge what you think is the right step. And and reinforce as you're trying to rebuild this belief muscle.
Okay, I'm going to tell a story about you.
Okay.
You might not like it, but here it goes. So Doug had done something. I mean, we had been hiking, we've been talking. We both knew that our spouses had addiction issues and that we were dealing with it. I'd already left Edward, and just in case people don't know, I'm the timid sister.
Yes.
So we were on the phone. Doug had done something like really scary, and you called me, and I said, Meredith, he's an alcoholic, and you knew this. I knew you knew this, and you got so mad at me.
Yep.
So mad at me. But it's a trust. I knew it would be okay. And I knew I was planting the right seed. I didn't even really think I was planting the right seed. I just thought I was saying the truth. But after we got off the phone and I was kind of upset because you were so angry, you came to me, and then you called me like 2 days later, and you're like, I'm sorry. You couldn't handle hearing
I couldn't
that.
handle it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is, I remember that. I don't mind you telling that story at all because it's
It's
true.
a great story.
Yeah, it's kind of like, that your kids are messed up,
Right.
and you can say it all day long, but if somebody else says it,
Yeah.
it was the shock. But the support system of that is so important. Like Beth said, the relationship, the trust was there. I didn't like it in the moment, but it was something that needed to be said to me. And when I had the time to think about it, sit with that quiet, I knew she was right. And I needed to take some steps and I needed to take some changes. The truth is, I think if I'm honest with myself, I think the shock of that was not even that I was mad that you said he was an addict. It was like, shit, I have to now start to change my life.
Because
Yeah.
it was proof that you could see it from the outside.
Exactly.
Even though we have an intimate relationship, it was still proof that an outside person, it was obvious to
Oh my
everybody.
God, you'd have to
But
be an
you
idiot.
just like when you have a kid who's messed up, you think, oh, only I know this. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember we used to go to this place in Asheville to dinner. You would come over and you told me that between courses he was going to the bar to get a shot. And I was so indignant about that. I was like, no, he isn't. And you just look at him and I think, oh my God. I mean, but it's like it's such a great example of everything is plain there. And in somewhere in your body, it, but you can't tap it because you've been so clouded by everything else. And your path out of this world is by understanding that you have to get back to your intuition, your gut, and understanding what you believe and embracing what you believe. Being okay that the fact that what you believe may not be what everybody else believes.
And for accepting reality, which is what you're talking about, like you have to come to terms with what's real and accepting this was the hard one for me, that you matter.
Yes.
And what you want matters. And if you want to go to Acadia and hike all day and not have to work, I mean, he's just drunk in the hotel room. Why spend the money for that?
Right.
Like you have to get back to what you want matters. And that was a hard journey too. All of that comes down to reclaiming yourself.
Yeah. I also think that you have to get so strong in that intuition because both our mother didn't like our decisions, but I also had Doug's mother who needed to blame me for what happened to him because if not, she would have to accept that her child was an addict. And so being strong enough in that took a lot of quiet time and a good support system from my sister and understanding, like, I can't emphasize enough that believing in yourself takes a lot of work and you really have to tap into that and do not expect other people to reinforce that belief.
And I think especially for women.
Yes.
Especially women our age. Like that is just not how we were raised at all. you
Yeah.
know. And I mean, I was lucky in that mother did not like my first husband.
Yes. And my
And
mother loved
she
mine.
loved Doug, and so she was angry with you.
Yes. She loved him and excused, everything I did. Yeah, she did not like Edward at all. And but I think one of my favorite stories about you with mother is talk about a lack of belief in yourself, is mother yelling at you, asking you why you had no self-confidence.
Yeah,
She
she
didn't
said,
know what was wrong.
what is wrong with you? You have no self-confidence." Where that came from.
All right, so I've got to go do a sales training. Let's let's
Okay.
let's wrap this up with, what do you think are the big key takeaways from this episode?
I think the big key takeaway, it goes back to awareness and non-judgment, getting curious about yourself instead of judging yourself. And to know that it's just a journey. You're just trying to tap back in to you, however you do that, whether it's taking a hike, therapy, Al-Anon, or in our case, all of the above.
Yeah.
Like, just remember that you're there and that you matter.
Yeah. And I'm going to say the key takeaways are to understand that right now, if you are in the throes of loving an addict, you've lost belief in yourself. Just accept that. You may not
Mhm.
be aware of it, but accept that. Find 5 minutes every single week to find some quiet time and to tap into that. And number three, get one support system, somebody who will be willing to believe and support you no matter what your intuition is telling you. And fourth, I would say, remember, it's, just really, really remember that it's a journey, that this is going to take time.
Mhm.
So, any thoughts on what you want to tap back into next week?
Do you have a thought on what you want to?
Yeah, I had
Okay.
thought about it before we got on to this podcast, and now I can't remember what it is, but it was a really good idea of what I wanted to tap into, and really what I wanted to focus on. So give me a second, but maybe if you have a thought.
Well, I thought we could do a practical thing of some actions that people can take now. They don't have to leave or they don't have to make a decision about anything, but just some things they can do so when the time comes, or if it never comes, they have some safety things in place.
Oh, I think that's a great topic. Actions you can take,
Well,
whether
protecting yourself now is what I called it.
okay, protecting yourself now, whether
Mhm,
you're staying with your addict,
mhm.
leaving your addict, or you don't know what
You
you are
don't know
going to
what's
do.
going to happen tomorrow and you're not ready to do anything. Or if you are ready to do something, it works for everything. It's just putting together a little go bag if you need it.
All right. All
Yeah.
right. We'll see you right back here next week. Please remember, if you have questions, you have input, please reach out to both Beth and to me. Share your thoughts, because this podcast is about one person. It's not focused on the addict, it's focused on you, the person who loves the addict. We'll see you right back here next week for another episode of the Real Dope Podcast.